You're looking like some clowns to our online congregation.
Hey guys, so happy to be here today. Grateful for the team,
Oh man,
the support.
that
I have
was.
4 different headphones on my desk. I have 2 different mics.
Did your
I get
headphones die? Was that part of the issue? I can't even get my
no. I don't know what the
camera to
issue was, bro. I
focus.
think anytime I put my Air Maxes on, it it changed the output. Yeah, it's something, dude. Something that only the techies can describe.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways,
All right.
McKay, how's your day?
Let's share this link to at least our team so that they know we're doing this.
They don't even
Copy
know.
that.
They don't even know that we're here.
But to answer your question, I'm doing well. How are you doing today, Fredo?
Yeah,
Pastor
I'm doing
Fredo.
well, man. I'm doing well. It's a beautiful Tuesday. You couldn't tell that it's the month of December because the weather is that nice. It's crisp. It's warm. Christmas season is here.
It is. It has been. It has been a beautiful December so far. I will say that. Outside of the wind we had, like end of November, um, it was a good December season. Oh, look it. We already got our first question.
Listen, what's your favorite? You know what, McKay? You go
What's your
first,
favorite
man.
search engine? Google Chrome. Google. I use Google for everything. Google takes all of my data. They give me the answers to the most basic things that I need to figure out, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I had to look up what a search engine is. But if you
So
were to say,
what is
if you were
not
to
a
say,
search
what
engine?
icon do I tap on to open the internet? I would say I tap on the blue circle that resembles a compass that I've been looking at since the grand year of 2007 when the iPhone came out.
Is that when you got your first iPhone?
Yeah, I got one at the
Yeah.
end of 2007. My pops bought it for me. He was actually like one of the first people I ever knew who had an iPhone that
Really?
looks on. Yeah, and he replaced his Palm Pilot with with his iPhone. But so before any of my friends had an iPhone, my dad had one, and he loved it. And then at the end of the year, he got me one, I think for Christmas. And then
Nice.
life
Well,
went
here, let me
life went downhill from there.
put this overlay on. There we go. Yeah, I think I got my first iPhone. I want to say
Yeah, thank you.
2010.
It's a browser. Tyler's absolutely correct. It's a browser,
Well,
not to
don't
be
blame
confused
us. Blame
with
Algar.
Mario's nemesis Bowser, but browser.
So you use Safari to browse the internet.
I use the compass, the blue compass. Yes, if you want to call it Safari, that's
Uh,
fine.
we'll let the internet decide who's right in this.
Yeah, Safari or Google Chrome. What
Google
does
Chrome.
Chrome even mean? Safari at least sounds like you're going on an adventure. Chrome just, first of all, it
Chrome
used to
looks
be a cologne.
clean. Chrome was a cologne?
Yeah, Chrome. Chrome was a clone.
By who?
How do I know this?
Yeah, Fredo, how do you know this? All right,
Boom. You know
moving
what?
on. Who's comment? We have, look at our own church is saying they love Bowser.
I love Bowser. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandals Church. We
Thank you,
appreciate that
Sam.
one. Pastor Fredo, we talked about we're in the month of December, which
Yes,
means
we are.
Thanksgiving is over. We no longer have to be thankful for anything. It's
We're
time
done
for the
with
season.
gratitude. We're done with gratitude.
Which means it is the Christmas season.
Yes, it is.
What does the Christmas season look like in the Ramos household?
Oh man, it looks like we get the tree up right away. Some years, in fact, last year we got it up before Thanksgiving, just as a sign of, man, we're excited for Christmas. But typically, Christmas tree goes up, lights go up, and then if we are diligent in the evening, we start some Advent stuff with the kids.
Nice.
We do a little Elf on the Shelf too. That's in full swing right now. Hopefully, they're not watching this, and it's gonna spoil for them that we, in fact, are guiding the Elves on the Shelf. Both my
Maybe
children
in
should be in
the
school.
in the replay, we'll just edit out. It'll just blur
Yeah, edit that out. But
everything
yeah,
from
let's
that
just
moment.
say the elves visit the house. We do some Advent in the evening
Okay.
time, and yeah, it's a good time. A lot of Nat King Cole playing through the
Okay.
speakers.
Yeah.
A lot of.
Are you
Nat
guys
King Cole.
Are you guys a real tree family or a fake tree family?
You know what? For years we were real tree, but then in my small house, it turns out that tree gets pretty dry quickly with low ceilings and the heater running. So our very first year in that house, the tree dried up in like 2 weeks, and I was drowning that thing with water. I mean, every day giving it water. I was talking to it. I was trying to encourage that pine to continue to grow and to smell good. And that thing still died. So I went through 2 trees in my first year. So after that, we learned our lesson. Now we got fake trees. So we have 2
2
fake trees.
trees 1 year?
Yeah, I went through 2 trees.
That's a
So,
dedication.
I mean, you buy
right
it at the
there.
end of November, that thing's got to survive. That dead tree has got to pretend to be alive for 5 weeks.
When I was in college, a friend of mine, their family had real trees, and their parents went out of the town for the weekend, and my friend was in charge of taking down all of the Christmas decorations. And so in our wise, oh so smart knowledge, we were like, oh, let's just go burn the Christmas tree so we don't have to chop it up and throw it away. And so we put it in the middle of the cul-de-sac, and that thing lit up so quickly because it was just dead tree. It was pretty intimidating for a second. I thought I was going to get in trouble with the fire department, but so that's another thing, kids. Don't light your Christmas trees on fire because it'll
and
lead
turn
to some
your
problems
lights
very
off
quickly.
at night. If you got a real tree, you got to let that thing, got to get those leaves.
Yeah, let it cool down a little bit.
Let's see, Tyler got a question.
Yeah.
Is Santa? Sorry, you asked the questions. You go ahead. You ask the question.
I mean, we both see them. Like everyone on the stream can see the questions popping up on the left of the screen or the right of their screen. Wow. So, nice. But yes, Tyler is asking, is Santa a thing for you and your kids?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we let Santa be a thing for as long as their imagination wants to uphold it. So, yeah, we got no issue with the cultural phenomenon known as the jolly big man, Santa. So, in fact, yesterday the kids got in trouble. Eli in particular got in trouble. And he wrote an apology letter to Santa, letting him know that he was sorry. He wrote a letter to the person that he hurt, and he let Santa know that he asked God for forgiveness. Amen. And then at the end of his letter to Santa, he said, God bless you, Santa. So in the universe that we live in, both Santa and God can coexist. So one serves the other, let's be clear. But.
Yeah. Jackson asks, what's your take on opening one present on Christmas Eve?
Oh, I love it. I mean, we're many of my family members are Mexican, so we actually celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. So because of that, we actually open quite a bit of gifts. We open at least one, if not more, especially the kids. They get way too much. So, but
nice.
Yeah. So we definitely, we do at least one on Christmas Eve. Yeah. How about you?
So so it depends. If it was up to Viv, if it was up to my wife, the house would be decorated November 1st. She is in, as soon as Halloween's over, it means Christmas. And so she's all about just having everything up for as long as we possibly can. Unless it's after Christmas and I leave the Christmas lights up, then she's like, yo, we look ghetto. Go take these lights down. But we have a fake tree because we didn't want our dog like biting or like peeing on the tree. So we have a fake tree. We got the Christmas lights outside, the classic glass colored ones. They break if you just look at them for too long, but they're just a great Christmas light.
They are.
Viv will have more Christmas music playing. I'm not a fan of Christmas music. All through high school and college, I worked a lot of like retail,
big
and grocery, and so the season of just Christmas music for 8 hours straight in a grocery store or a retail store, I can't handle Christmas music. So, although there is a EDM DJ by the name of Cascade that he has 2 of them now. He did 2 remix albums.
Christmas, yes,
they're actually pretty fine. Those ones I can sit and listen to for a while.
Yeah, good on you, McKay. Good on you.
If Viv's playing though, it's Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra. Basically all the Rat Pack. She's down for some good old classic Christmas music. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, and you mentioned it earlier, you and your family celebrate, practice Advent I don't know what's the
Yeah.
proper way to refer to it. Um, let's dive into what Advent means, because I don't know about you, but I'm starting to recognize culturally it's becoming more of a maybe household practice. There's Advent calendars for everything. You know, I'm a true millennial. I have an Advent calendar for my dog. She gets a little cookie, a little treat every single morning.
Of course she
Um,
does.
she has no idea what's going on, but just Viv and I got one for our dog. There's I've seen coffee shops now. They're doing coffee Advent calendars. There's Lego ones. I have some Funko Pop an old Funko Pop Advent calendar that was all like the office themed. Um, and for me, it was just like, oh, okay, this is, you know, a fun little thing to do leading up to
Right,
Christmas.
right,
But
right.
I didn't know there's more meaning behind it. So I don't really have a question for you, but let's just start talking about Advent and what the Christian practice is of that.
Yeah, so Advent refers to the period of time leading up to the celebration or the day that we recognize Jesus' birth, which would be Christmas Day. And so Advent is that a period of weeks, around 4 to 5 weeks before Christmas. The word itself means anticipation or waiting. And so this is a season of anticipation where we wait on and remember the way that we wait on the arrival of God through Jesus Christ, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
Advent is about acknowledging the aspects of our lives and our souls where we love to anticipate, and
Mm.
where waiting actually is a good thing. Waiting enlarges the soul. It allows us to, I think, develop a kind of resilience, a kind of hopefulness, and a kind of joy for life, even in the midst of things being somewhat difficult. And so, a lot of the themes in Advent that the church has
Mm-hmm.
historically recognized would be like love, joy, peace, would all be the aspects of Advent that kind of help us understand what we mean when we say we're anticipating
Mm.
Jesus' arrival, or we're waiting upon him, right? Those things all we would say are love, joy, peace, all help kind of cultivate that waiting in a sense. So yeah,
Right.
but so yeah, in the home, we use a little tool. I think it's a book. I'm trying to remember who we got it from, but it's like a little
Mm-hmm.
story the kids read, and then
Yeah.
we hang an ornament up on the tree, and it's like just simple things to help reinforce this idea of Jesus being our peace, Jesus being our hope, Jesus being our love,
Mm.
and and waiting for him. So I think what's great about the cultural phenomenon we find ourselves in, where we can go to Target and get a wine Advent box, is there is something, I think, in the human experience in which waiting is something our souls long for, right? And so any human being, I think, in any era would say waiting kind of strengthens and builds up the anticipation for something, right? And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, like how long you're willing to wait for something reveals the value you place in that thing, right? And so if you're willing to like really stick it out for something, that kind of communicates value, right? And so I think, yeah, part of the human experience is understanding the value of waiting and what it is
Mm-hmm.
that we are anticipating in the process of that. And so there's something excited about, oh man, every day I'm going to open up a new thing, a new this, a new Lego, right? So a
Right.
new treat for your dog. So yeah, it's kind of great. I think it's a really great thing the way it's become commonplace. I mean, sure, it's
Mm-hmm.
commercialized and it's being used for consumer like ends, but it does reveal something about the human soul, that we were
Right.
designed to wait. We were designed to anticipate, and Christmas is a great reminder in the ways that we can wait for God and wait on Him. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's great. I didn't know that was um, the meaning or some of the practice behind it.
mm-hmm.
Um, and now I'm kind of starting to think to like, okay, how can I implement this kind of same practice for my future family? Um, so is there an aspect to it when you're practicing Advent with your family that's kind of similar to, you know, opening a present, um, tied in with like just reminding yourselves of what you're patient with? I know you said the ornament, so it's like, do you have an ornament for every day that you now hang up after you've talked about this aspect of Advent?
Yeah, so the way it goes is if you actually like cover the lesson every day, you'll get like an ornament for each day. So we're lucky to cover it a few times a week and stuff, but uh yeah, so that's kind of the goal, is like they go through the process of waiting, opening something, reading it, and then hanging it up, right? And then knowing that they got
Mm-hmm.
to wait until the next day to do it again. And so that, I think, that practice like instills into you the value of anticipating something and being
Mm-hmm.
excited for what's going to come up next, right? And being being willing to be surprised as you kind of submit yourself to the process of waiting, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been built into the church for a good reason in terms of how we understand like the church calendar and this what the season is, and so and then seasonally, right? It's mostly for most of the people around the world, the wintertime, it's a darker time, meaning like it gets darker earlier. And so
Mm-hmm.
just the significance of even lights going up, right, is a symbolic reminder of there is light coming even in dark places and in dark moments.
Mm.
And so we wait for the arrival of the light of the world, right, even in a darker season of the year. So there's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
symbols, things that we kind of do that are part of our just tradition or culture or upbringing, right? That I would say are deeply embedded in like Christian truth and
Mm.
actually help like illuminate us in a little way. So,
Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's real good. I've never thought of my Christmas lights as being that
mm-hmm.
sign of, the light is coming. I
Yeah,
guess
man, it's nice.
at
Like,
this point it gets dark at 4:30, so I just walk outside. I'm like, why is it so dark already?
yeah, yeah, and we haven't even hung our lights up. But last night I was taking out the trash, and I had a nice little moment on the driveway, just enjoying the neighbor's lights and thinking about, yeah, man, there's something beautiful about light shining in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And then what that allows us, like it kind of it helps bring to light spiritual truths, right? Like spiritual
Right.
realities
Mm-hmm.
that aren't often seen. Symbols help make those things seen and then like
Mm-hmm.
sensed and experienced in a fresh way, right? So
Right.
yeah,
Right. That's yeah.
little nugget for you.
That's good. That's good stuff right there. What do you think is making, or what do you think is some of the motivation behind um, culturally seeing Advent become more normalized again? Why do you think that um, Christians and non-Christians alike are now finding? Obviously, there's the commercial side of like, oh, I get this gift and this thing, but I feel like Advent became more popular within the last 4 or 5 years compared to when I was a kid. Um, in '07, '08.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. There is a part of me that just feels like within the human soul, we long for transcendence. In other words, we long to connect with something that is beyond just kind of like the physical realm, right? And that
Mhm.
can't be contained in just kind of a physical, tangible way. And so, unfortunately, though, with culture as secular as it is in a lot of ways, in the sense that we no longer have a shared conviction around, who God might be and our,
Mhm.
responsibility to Him or all that stuff. And so, I think Advent serves as a kind of transcendent thing that like
Mm.
deep down inside, whether we acknowledge it or not, we know we need and we long for. And so it kind of makes its way through our marketplaces, through our through our consumer habits, right?
Mhm.
And obviously it's fun, but I would say like regardless of what advent box you get, within that contains some element of transcendence that you long for in the
Mm.
process of like knowing, oh wow, you get to wait 25 days and you get to get to this moment where you get to open everything and see everything, right? But you got to go through the waiting, right, to get the
Mhm.
full experience of it, right? So I would say, yeah, it's just transcendence. We long for transcendence. So like when you think about icons, like the most transcendent thing we have today, I would say, are celebrities,
Mm.
because like
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
feel otherworldly, right? Like they don't feel
Mhm.
like they're not you, right? You look up to them. If you bump into one of them, like
Yeah.
you're amazed, right? So I
Right.
would say celebrities are lingering forms of icons of transcendence that feel like above us, right? And so, but I would say Advent too feels somewhat transcendent, and then it's like it's otherworldly, and there's something in us that longs to connect with it again, right? But
Mhm.
so yeah,
Was I don't know. I'm asking you all these questions as if you are an Advent scholar, but
yeah,
was
definitely not.
was Advent a inherently Christian idea, or was it another one of those kind of like Christmas practices that we've adopted into um, meaning something different? I think would
Yeah,
be
that's a
how I
good
would phrase
question.
it.
Like I know the move historically to put Christmas where we put it was maybe by some viewed as a response to like other kind of religious practices or pagan practices that would happen during the winter, right?
Mhm.
Whether you're thinking of winter solstice or other things like that. But I would say
Mhm.
the Advent season, I would say, is intrinsically religious and deeply Christian in its
Mhm.
practice and its understanding, like what it is, right? Like you can't do any real research around Advent without finding that it's deeply rooted and finds its origins in Christian practice for sure. So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, but again, historically speaking, birth of Jesus certainly in the spring. That's what our best scholarship will say. But we
Hmm.
celebrate it in this time. I would say probably for a variety of historical reasons, right? So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that was something actually. You kind of. Whoa, my camera's not focusing.
yeah, dude,
Weird. Uh, uh, there we
you
go.
went to another realm right now. Look at that.
But no, I did just hear that biblical historians actually think Jesus was born more around the springtime than actually um, in December. And the youth, Sandals youth right now is kind of going through the same practice of like, hey, let's pause, let's reflect, let's remember our Lord's birth and reflect on what that means for us, and as we wait for his second return. So that's really good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts around Christmas traditions? What have been some of your favorites? What are some that you would throw away?
Oh, dog, man. I grew up. I mean, yeah, like I said, I grew up opening gifts on Christmas Eve. In my family, we celebrate both days. So we're with some family Christmas Eve, other families Christmas Day. So I grew up with that. I love that still to this day. I usually prefer to have a nice cold glass of eggnog with a little cinnamon and nutmeg on top. The stomach, the stomach as a grown man doesn't always allow for a full glass of eggnog to go down well. So that's a great tradition. Yeah, those are the things that come to mind first. So lately we've been doing scavenger hunts with the kids. So in order for them
Oh,
to
okay.
go find, open their gifts, they got to go on a scavenger hunt around the house. So it's fun. It
Have
makes
them
it
clean up some
enjoyable.
things while they're at it.
Yeah. It kind of stretches it out because they open the gift so fast that it's like, oh wow, cool, we're done in like 7 minutes. So, but if
Right.
you put them on a little journey, it stretches it out, makes them feel like they got more than they actually got. It's just a strategy, but it's
Yeah.
helpful. It's good.
How do you and Ash navigate raising two kids, enjoying the holiday? Like, sometimes you'll see Christians be a little nitpicky on like what we're actually celebrating and what you should or should not do during the Christmas time. So how did you and Ash navigate, hey, this is how we're going to spend time honoring the Lord, but also just enjoying the fun of this holiday season?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we just integrate our normal Christian practice into this season as well, right? So like nothing we do necessarily changes during Christmas time. And so introducing like Christmas colors or Santa or imagery, right, that like comes along with house decorations doesn't negate the things that we believe and do throughout the rest of the year, right? So it's just a matter of continuing those things. And then in a way that makes sense to our kids, helping to explain like, yeah, generally everyone celebrates Christmas around this time of the year, and here's how we understand it to be.
Hmm.
Here's why it's important. And at this stage they still believe in Santa, but
Hmm.
one day they'll come to know he was a real saint and that he's not so much living in the North Pole, but he lives in the bedroom next door, and it's your parents. So
Yeah. Has that gotten more challenging to navigate as he's now 10, getting older, maybe asking more questions? Has that been a different experience with him, or is it still does he still have that childlike wonder still?
yeah, both and like he still has a childlike wonder, but then he also still has like a growing rationale. So he does ask more questions,
Hmm.
around what is. And so I don't know. I feel like Ash and I, a practice for us has been just to be as honest as we can in a way that makes sense to them. So when
Hmm.
he's ready to cross that bridge and be like, okay, there's no Santa, then we'll have that conversation. But then also kind of protect and uphold like the reason why a childlike imagination is also important, So
Hmm.
because a lot of our faith is rooted in Jesus's words to have a childlike faith, right? That doesn't mean like we're
Hmm.
childish, but it does mean that we have a kind of dependency on, an openness to, an innocence about us, right? And so
Hmm.
it's a way for us to kind of recover an imagination that kind of gets lost in our pace of our life and the mundane and circumstances, right? So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
That's
we'll
good.
keep it honest with him as long as he
Yeah.
doesn't ruin it for his sister.
Yeah, that's gonna be the really big one is making sure he doesn't ruin it for Ella too.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
don't crush her little
Well,
heart.
that's cool, man. Thanks for chopping it up on Advent with me. I definitely learned some things that I didn't know. I'm gonna, start explaining to Vienna why we wait for this cookie
Yeah.
every morning now. So
Yeah. I mean, I just think a big takeaway is like the degree to which you're willing to wait reveals the value of that thing that you're waiting for, right? And so in
Mhm.
a culture today where we're unwilling to wait to satisfy our desires, our pleasures, well, when we're unwilling to wait for food to be made, right? All of those things, like we move at a pace and we demand things at a pace. Our selfish desires demand things at a pace. And so the Advent season is a way for us to step into how life actually is, what God's reality really is, which is that
Mm,
waiting forms us, waiting shapes us, it reveals our heart, both in good and bad ways. And then I
right.
think it ultimately produces a character quality that we all want. Like patient people are loving people. Patient people are a gift to be around. Like I want to be a patient person, right? So
Mhm.
Advent really is a great invitation for the year to become more aware of the ways in which maybe I've moved too quickly or I've like tried to satisfy like instantaneously this need, So
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
that's good stuff. How's it going, Will? Thanks for hopping in, man.
What's up, Will?
So let's segue a little bit. I don't have a
Yeah.
great transition moment, but let's hit on our weekend service. We're in this series, Generous Like Jesus. Um, we're what 3 weeks in now? Are we gone 3? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We're
3 weeks
3
in.
in
What
now.
are what are some of your just initial thoughts around the series? How our church is receiving it, and then maybe we can get into some more direct questions about that. But how are you feeling as our church is learning how to be more generous?
Yeah, man, I've been thoroughly enjoying from the very initial kind of opening thought, I guess, that Pastor Matt brought into this series, which was, if you could describe Jesus in one way, what would it be? And he made the offering that maybe people wouldn't classify Jesus as generous,
Mm,
but he really was, right? Like his whole
mhm,
life is a gift to us. Like he opened up his life to the world. He sacrificed his life for the world, right, so that people might experience real love and be transformed by that. And so, yeah, kind of framing our understanding of Jesus around being a generous person, I think, is a great perspective, especially in this time of the year. And I think it does kind of connect with this idea of waiting, right? Like if we're going to
mhm,
become generous people, it means that we're willing to use our money in a way that um, I guess reveals what we're waiting for, or like we're not going to
mhm,
necessarily need to hoard everything. We're not going to need to spend everything right away to get everything we want, the life we think we need, right? All those things, but the way that we're generous, I think, also reveals a kind of patience, quality that we
mhm,
have toward what we actually need, So my initial thoughts of it, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I'd love the challenge for our church to move into a spirit of generosity, especially in a time of year where it's like you see everyone out shopping, they're doing this, they need to buy that, they got to get that done.
right.
And so, like, just, yeah, opening our hands when people are trying to fill theirs, I think, in a
Mm,
time like this, like, I think it's really, really cool. So to say, God, grow me in my generosity, help me to be open, help me to give away quicker than I'm wanting to take in.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
yeah,
Which is
I
so
think it's good.
challenging because everything we see in commercials or online or anything like that is really about what we can receive this holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even
Mm-hmm.
when, at least in my experience, when we culturally talk about gifting things to other people, the thought is more around the good feeling you'll get when you gift this to somebody, or
Right.
be the person that gets this person this great thing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and when you think about Jesus and his generosity, it wasn't pretty. It was just he was just giving of himself and his time and his energy to all the people around him. Um, Not in a braggadocious way, but just as like experience me through this generosity. So um,
Yeah.
I've been challenged by this series. I've been thinking through, like, sure, I tithe, I give my money, but how am I being selfish in other ways? Am I not being generous with my time? Am I not being generous with um, my emotions with Viv? Viv and I handle emotions very differently. We process the days
Mm.
differently. So it's like, am I being um, greedy with how I process my day by not sharing with Viv and opening up to her and stuff like that? So
Yeah.
just a
That's
couple
good.
things I've been thinking through and reflecting on in this season.
That's good. Yeah, he used the phrase, I think, in week one about being gripped by greed. And I've just kind of been reflecting on that idea and asking, yeah, in what ways is Fredo gripped by greed
Mm,
in my life? because certainly I have practices of giving, I have practices of generosity, but I want those things to increase, and so
Mhm.
I've been actually grateful that each weekend, like the imagery that you see when you walk into the church or whether you watch it online, are these open hands, right? Like it's a
Mhm.
clear kind of visual aid we're using for the series, and I just love that idea of generosity being expressed through hands that are open, ready to pour out, ready to give away. Yeah, especially in a season where it's like our hands are being used
Mhm.
to take in, buy this, grab that, right? Carrying 8 bags
Right.
out of the store, whatever it is. Like I think, um, and yeah, and also like the hands are open in the sense of like I want to be freed from what greed can do to my soul and my own life, and so because even as a pastor, it's very real, man. I want the new iPhone, I want this, I want that,
Mhm.
like I want a certain kind of vacation. So there's all kinds of things that like need to be purged in a very healthy way in my
Right.
life. So
Mhm.
yeah, I need
Yeah.
it.
How do you think, as followers of Christ, as our church is learning through this, how do you think we could start implementing some of this generosity outside just the end of the year?
Yeah, so outside of like the campaign that we're building towards, right?
Mhm.
I would say if you're not giving, so if you're in a category of people where you're not giving, pray now, today, on what you can begin to give on a regular basis. And
Mhm.
so, a general standard we have from Scripture, particularly the Old Testament, is the tithe, a 10% gift offering back to God out of what you earn and make. So, if that's a marker you can hit it. If you can't hit it, hit some number. Maybe it's not 10, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 2, right? But just whatever it is, in prayer, decide here's what I want to begin to consistently give. And I would say at some level it should be sacrificial, meaning
Mm.
what you give should cost you something, right? Giving, in other words, giving this on a regular basis should impact what you do elsewhere in your life. I think that's deeply biblical because it kind of reestablishes what our priorities are in life. Like I give first, I give out of what I receive, and that then impacts every other aspect of my life, like what I can and can't
Mhm.
do because I'm financially giving, right? And so
Mhm.
again, if you're in a category of people that aren't giving, I would say pray through when and how you can begin to give consistently. Maybe it's not 10, maybe it's something, right? If you're
Mhm.
in a category of people in which you have been giving, but for a variety of reasons, like maybe it just hasn't felt impactful, then pray. If you're married, then pray and talk through what increasing that might look like, right? But also think through like other ways, like you mentioned, McKay, like different areas of your life where you want to become generous. And so maybe giving money isn't necessarily the issue, but you're pretty greedy with your calendar, you're greedy with your
Mm.
time, right?
Mhm.
And so maybe there's an opportunity for you to be generous in your relationships, particularly this Christmas season, but maybe moving forward too, right? So yeah, I think that's worthwhile to consider too, And then if
Mhm.
you happen to be in a position where like you're blessed, you give regularly, you feel like you're in an open place, then man, I would just pray through like how you might support the campaign here, or also think about other organizations that you feel impacted by, right? Like being in the digital world that we live in now, like there's so many ways that we are benefited by other organizations and groups. Yes, this
Mhm.
is a time where everyone is asking, especially nonprofits are
Mhm.
asking for your generosity and your support, and I think that's worthwhile to consider, And so but the hope is all of us would take in scripture through this series and then say, all right, God, what are the ways that I can take steps consistently in becoming a more generous person, right? And
Mhm.
the tithe is a helpful place. Community is another helpful place, right? Especially if you're a bit more closed off, you feel like you're kept away from people or you're greedy with your time, right? Community could be a good practice to begin as well. So, or serving, like
Mhm.
there's a handful of things that might define a more generous lifestyle. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. And I think it's like you're saying, praying and posturing yourself to say, like, all right, Lord, in what ways do I need to be more generous? Um, for some, it is that first step of like, okay, let's figure out in your finances what you could start giving back to the church. You know, you hear people all the time say, "Oh, well, the church is just all about money." Um, and I mean, I don't think that's true, but there's just basic needs that need to be met, and so we have to ask, people for money. And but
yeah,
there's that complete other side of like, okay, where are you? Yeah, just like we're saying, are you closed off?
yeah,
Well, are you stingy in all these kind of other areas and stuff like that? So,
yeah. And I mean, honestly, here's what I would say to that phrase. Like, I don't feel like it's an accurate description of what's
Hmm.
honestly going on. Meaning, in one sense, everybody is about money. Like you need it for
Yeah.
life, right?
Hmm.
The real issue is, in what ways are you stewarding that money? In what ways are you managing that money, right? Like, our streaming services on our televisions are about money. Like, our
Hmm.
sports teams are all about money. Like, who's getting paid what, and are they going to deliver on how much we're paying them, right? Everything in
Hmm.
life has to do with money because it's such a critical resource for life and thriving and survival, right? Hollywood shut down for months because certain people weren't being paid, like they didn't get
Right.
enough money, right? So everybody
Hmm.
is about money. The issue is, what are you doing with it? How are you stewarding it? How is it being used to benefit the community and the world around you, right? And so, yeah, that initial criticism just makes me think back, or maybe want to respond back, depending on who I'm chatting with. Like, well, everyone is about money. Let's get
Right.
clear. Like, Jesus was about
Hmm.
money, right? But he had a certain way in which he related to it.
Hmm.
And so I think that's been I think even a helpful exploration for us in this series. Like last week, and Matt talked a lot about ways in which we're relating to our money. How are we managing it? How are we stewarding it?
Hmm.
In
Yeah.
light of the reality that it's all owned by God, right? And we're simply in the
Hmm.
place of stewardship now. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I love from this last weekend of like, you know, we are given the task of managing this money well. There's
Mm,
some things that the Lord has blessed you with, and you still have to maintain that and use it in a wise way, not just spend it and waste it like you would, something else. Yeah, I kind of lost what I was getting at with that, but just that thought of like, as we're Christians, as we do not become enslaved to money, but we still have a responsibility to manage it well and use it to help share God's love to other people. I think is
yeah.
really key and really important to how we talk about money and how we navigate it from a faith perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think to what you're saying there, man, I think there's so many places in the New Testament where the Apostle Paul, if he's speaking, or if it's Jesus from the Gospels, like, they're just very direct and clear about it. Right?
Hmm.
Like, Paul's really clear.
Right.
Thank you so much for financially supporting me, or financially supporting these other churches. He
Hmm.
writes to a lot of Greek churches and says, hey, it's time for us to support the churches in Jerusalem like they once supported you. Right. So they're
Right.
just really direct and courageous with it. And I think, sure, we've had issues with money in the American church. And so it's left us feeling a certain kind of way when it comes to talking about it. But I do think if we can
Hmm.
recover the language that we see modeled for us, it'll free up a lot of the ways that we talk about it. Like, yo, let's just be honest. Like, we all need to make money. Many of us need to be, or want to be, making more money. Many of us don't relate well to it yet when it comes to stewarding it. How do we manage it, right? All of those things. So I think if we just start to name things for what they actually are, it becomes a healthier way forward for us in the
Hmm.
conversation around it. So, and maybe that starts even with us just, owning ways that we have not been great historically as a church with money, or
Right.
expressions that you've seen on TV, right, or this or that, whatever your hangups are, for sure, those are all out there. But let's not keep those things as permanent barriers from us becoming the generous kind of people that Jesus calls us to be. So
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's great stuff, man. That's great. I don't even know. I'm not even going to attempt to top that one off. We'll end with this. We'll end with this. It's the best and worst Christmas movies of all time.
oh man, best and worst. It's a Wonderful Life up there. Home Alone, Elf, Die Hard. I would include in Christmas movies. I would include Star Wars Empire Strikes Back as Christmas movies because the opening scene is
Really?
on Hoth. Yeah, it's a snowing planet. It gives you Christmas vibes. Um, it's a
Um,
stretch.
it's a
Uh,
big stretch for sure.
yeah, Pastor Matt mentioned this weekend, Lord of the Rings is in his rotation for Christmas time. Same here, very much Christmas-ish movie. Also, a lot of bad Hallmark movies are in my rotation. I can't wait to see what's on the Hallmark Channel sometimes
Oh no.
because
I
I
don't know.
just I love the
How do
cheesy
you have the
stuff,
patience
man.
for that? How do you have the patience for that?
Listen, in
It's
every story
so
we
bad.
tell, whether it's a good story or a bad story, the human soul just longs for things to be okay and to work out. And generally in the form of some kind of relationship, right? Like, it's just built into who we are as people. We long to see people reconciled, and for a moment of home, of comfort, of ease, right? That's just built into us. So bad Christmas movies, there's some out there, but Home Alone 3, bad.
I can't even remember what happened in Home Alone 3.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Bad.
The best, in my opinion, the best is How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey.
Oh
Best
yeah, that's
Christmas
so
movie.
good.
Yeah,
Bro,
nothing can ever top that. Elf is a close second, but How the Grinch Stole Christmas is the best one.
yeah. And the Grinch's revelation about his own heart at the end is just the capstone of, I think, even what our series Generous Like Jesus is about. Like, if we don't get through the series and if we don't have our people come to the same moment that the Grinch did when he thought about his own heart, that's it. That's it. Like, his heart finally grew, and that's what we want to see our church do too. So
Yeah. Are you gonna add that to your sermon, or are you just gonna send that as a note to PMAT and
I
let
might send
him
that as a note. Yeah, I might send that as a note to Pastor Matt. Hey, you might want to consider the Grinch's thoughts here.
consider the Grinch
So
as his heart
listen,
miraculously.
yeah, I'm just saying, if Jesus of Nazareth and the Grinch of Whoville are coming to the same conclusion about the human heart, then maybe we should listen to them.
Just maybe. But tell me, what's your worst? Oh wait, no, you said Home Alone 3, huh?
Yeah,
Worst
Home Alone
Christmas movie
3.
of all time.
Yeah, there's like this dog movie that my kids watch. It's like it's like built off the Air Bud universe, but they're like all these dogs that like talk. They do like Halloween movies and Christmas. The Christmas one's terrible. I like Four Christmases. I think that's a Christmas movie. I think Love Actually is a Christmas movie. There's a lot of rom-coms that take place during Christmas time.
What's the worst Christmas tradition?
The worst. Oh man, this might be insulting to some, but there's like this Danish. Sorry for Danish folk, but there's like this Danish dessert that I seen at Trader Joe's that just does not look good.
No, you're not about to hate on that,
bro. That thing.
Are you talking about the Kringles, the giant like?
I just don't get that, bro.
Oh, dude, you're tripping.
I just don't
on
get
that one, man.
I don't get it.
It's flaky. It's a pastry.
Yo, I'm down for both, but the way it's executed in that giant circle, I'm sorry.
Oh, Fredo, I'm just wow.
Not for me. If you bring me a
expected
Kringle,
a lot.
Listen, if you bring me a Kringle, I'm probably gonna regift it. It's getting regift. Same with those baskets that are like,
oh my goodness,
like tightly like wrapped so much so there's like a cheese block in there. There's like a meat block in there.
Oh yeah, that.
There's
that
a random like fork that you'll never use after
when someone
Christmas,
gifts
like,
you. When someone gives you an unpresented charcuterie board, trash. But these Kringles,
that thing
the
expired
Kringle, you are
in 2017. Nah, yeah, you take the Kringle, bro. Yeah, actually, yeah, Alex is right. There is a Theology and episode where I eat a Kringle.
That's right, you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
not for me. I think maybe it was ruined there.
So. On sandalschurch.tv, our sister YouTube channel, you can find a video where Fredo tries one.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to redo this. I'm gonna have to make one with you. I'll make you some coffee. We'll heat it up, toss it in, the oven or something. Get it nice and warm. It'll change your mind.
I mean, I'm open to it. It sounds good, bro. I'm always down for a good savory and a good sweet at the same time. So I'm ready.
Wow.
I'm ready.
Well, maybe that's what we're doing on our next live stream. We're gonna figure it out.
Brian says to get the berry one. It's better than him. Okay, maybe I'll try the berry one. So. Yeah, see, I knew it. I knew this take was not going to be well appreciated. I don't get the Kringle, man.
That is a bad take. That is a bad take.
I don't get. There's so many other great Christmas snacks, bro. That man.
Like what? What do you? Because you already said you're drinking eggnog, which lowers the bar pretty low.
Bro, chill. Eggnog is a gift from God.
Not a chance.
Ash will get like these little treats. It's like puppy chow. People call it puppy chow. It's like chunks.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Phenomenal.
Like checks with like chocolate and
bro, I will eat that by the pound, dude.
Right.
We get the Reese's cup inside the peanut butter cookie too. Mm-hmm. Have you had that?
Yep, I've had that before.
We get that. The jingle jangle.
Algar says tamales.
Yeah, bro, tamales. Bro, listen.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
That's a must for the holiday season.
I am not at a home on the week of Christmas that does not have tamales. Like, if you see me between December 20th and 25th and I'm at your house, there better be a tamale on the plate. Or I gotta go, bro. That's tamale season. So it comes
This
around
is
once. It's like 1 week out of the year where I'll probably eat 50 to 60 of them, bro. I just put them down
without a doubt, without
day
a
after
doubt. This
day.
is the time
Breakfast,
of the
lunch,
year.
dinner.
This is the time of the year where all of the vegan pop-up spots are making their tamales, and Viv and I will spend too much. But part of our Christmas budget is just loading up on those things, and I can eat just every day, going through it.
Nice. Oh, I bet
Yeah.
you're going through it.
All right. Well, chat, if you guys don't have any other questions for Pastor Fredo as we discuss Generous Like Jesus, we'll start to wrap up our time here. We'll give him a chance to get some questions in. But you really don't like the Kringles? That is wild.
We'll see. You know, maybe we'll come back. I'm open, bro. I don't discriminate when it comes to food. Like, clearly. I've had an interesting relationship with food my whole life. So
that's like, because I've always known you as a sweets person, so to hear that you don't like that is pretty shocking to me. But
I just don't get it, bro. Are you a pastry? What is it?
Pastries are sweet more often than not.
All right.
I know there's savory ones, yes, but I've always known pastries to be on the sweeter side.
And then it's massive, bro. It's like this big ring.
You're not supposed to eat it all yourself.
Well,
be generous. Share it with your family.
Of course. All right, we gotta shut this off.
I worked at Trader Joe's, and so those things would fly off the shelves. People come in, buy like 20 of them, and they'd gift them, make them themselves.
Exactly, they're gifting them to people
that everyone every other day or every once in a while, our manager would buy one for the team, and we would all get a nice little slice of Kringle. So shout out to my Trader Joe's homies. You guys are running it down or holding it down. Don't listen to Fredo. Keep getting the Kringles.
That's what they're running it down.
All right, Sandals Church. Thank you so much for hopping in. We love you guys. We'll see you soon.